Hello everybody, my name's Novi and welcome back to the channel. With the top 5 men's and women's matches of the year list done, we move forward to the top 5 men's and women's wrestlers of the year list, starting with the women. Women's wrestling in 2024 has actually carried my fandom in so many ways. Whether it's discovering and exploring Joshi for the first time ever, or the young class of women's wrestlers all over the world, there's a lot to be celebrated. And today, I want to do just that for the top 5 best of the year. However, I do want to say before we get going that this list is based on a whole lot of factors that I care about. You may disagree and you may weigh something like ticket moving a lot higher. Sure, but again, this is based on my criteria. So just keep that in your mind as we move forward, and let's get things going with the honorable mentions. Starting with Miyu Watanabe, TJPW's Golden Ace has been carrying the promotion on her back again this year, having easily their best matches throughout the year in Miyu Yamashita, Shoko Nakajima, and Ryo Mizunami, while also creating the most buzz for a promotion than anyone else. Then we have Chris Statlander, the most consistent women's wrestler in AEW. Then lastly, I have Willow Nightingale, the perfect babyface who showed again this year why she should be the future of AEW. Alright, now to the actual top 5, where at number 5, I have Mercedes Moné. When it comes to the weekly TV aspect of her work over the course of the last year, I can't say I've loved really any of it. A lot of the time it just feels out of place in AEW, and I can't say the execution is much better. However, that problem is immediately solved, as it has been over the course of the last few months, when she has matches as good as the ones she's been having. Of course, there's number 3 and number 5 in my women's match of the year rankings with Chris Statlander and Hazuki, but there's also a sneaky good one with Anna Jay in there on TV as well. And even though I'm sitting here talking about the consistency that she's started to really display over the last little bit, I'm not at all trying to say that she hasn't had other great matches throughout this year as well, with Momo Watanabe, Stephanie Vaquer, and especially the match versus Willow at Double or Nothing coming to mind. All of that greatness in the ring just combines to be too much to ignore, which earns her the number 5 spot on this list. Next up, we have the Genius of the Sky, Io Sky. As many of you who are familiar with my tastes on this channel know, I'm not really a weekly WWE TV watcher. Sure, I'll tune in for the pay-per-views and stuff, but outside of that, it's somewhat of a rarity. And it might get even more rare with SmackDown now moving to 3 hours long. However, regardless of that, even I can understand just how crucial Io Sky is to that women's division. You don't need to watch the weekly TVs to know that. Her output on the pay-per-views are bar none regardless of it. But when you do tune in for the occasional bout here and there, it's clear that she's reliable in a way that nobody else there is. And to be honest, I would go so far as to say she's had the best year when it comes to in-ring output of the entire WWE. Especially when you factor in her Marigold match versus Utami Hayashishita, my personal women's match of the year. When you are that crucial to what your company's women's division is, that's a big addition to your case. And that's why Io Sky sits here at number 4 on my Women's Wrestler of the Year list. On to number 3, we have to go back in time for Timeless Toni Storm. Now, I won't lie for even a second. It's a tale of two halves when it comes to Toni Storm in 2024. When she first started that Timeless gimmick, things weren't working at all. Sure, the promos would be somewhat funny, and I'd particularly enjoy just how committed she was to the character. But she was the women's world champion. Her matches had to be good, and they just weren't. It was like she couldn't find a way to balance the gimmick in the in-ring, and it led to disappointing match after disappointing match. That was until, and I'll always give credit to her, Azumi knocked the Hooper back into Toni on a random episode of Collision. After that point, for real, Toni started to put it all together. That's really where this number 3 Women's Wrestler of the Year campaign began. Because not long after, she would begin the Mariah May feud, one of my favorites of the whole year, regardless of it maybe losing a bit of steam at the end. Hell, at the very least, the angle that kicked that feud off could very easily be the best angle of the year. It's just that, the way I see it, The rivalry was such a transformative one for the division. There's not many in their history that had been given the time and care that this one had. And for them to execute as well as they did was important. There was an intensity, a realness, a care to it that allowed it to grow into something special. And for Toni to be such a central part in that while also growing into the star she now is, makes her case very strong to me, and it's why she sits mid-pack at number 3. Moving ahead now to the 2024 Women's Wrestler of the Year runner-up, I have Mayu Iwatani. There are some very good reasons as to why when people talk about Joshi wrestling, Mayu is up there in GOAT conversations. She is simply incredible, both in ring and in terms of being a star. Now, when it comes to the in-ring specifically, it is so important, and you have a ton to sort through there when it comes to 2024. Shuri to start the year, Sareee the singles and the tag, the Momo Watanabe match. That's only naming a few, but she's produced a ton of high quality bouts. However, of the two, the slightly bigger reason why I have her at number 2 is that star aspect. Mostly because, personally, I don't want to imagine a stardom without Mayu Iwatani, even for a second, because it freaks me the fuck out. That is, even if it seems likely to happen in 2025. But for right now, we're talking 2024, and she has put them on her back. Top talent leaving for Marigold, a change in Booker, a tumultuous time for stardom overall. It doesn't matter. Mayu is still there drawing numbers for them. She's still there delivering night in and night out. And when you can be relied on to the level she's been while also putting up 2024 Match of the Year contenders, there's no doubt you earn the P2 position on this list. All right, it's the moment you've all been waiting for. My Women's Wrestler of the Year for 2024 is, to the surprise of absolutely no one, Sareee. I mean, come on. Sareee has been the overall Wrestler of the Year regardless of gender, if we're being serious. What she has done for the Joshi scene in 2024 is second to none, maybe ever. Creating intrigue at every turn, selling out each and every one of her Sareeism shows. And then, of course, being the best at what she does. Then, in the ring, her consistency alone could have earned her this spot, I'm not gonna lie. But you have to talk about her high-end stuff above all else because, my god. Starting with the tag matches, you have her and Hashimoto versus Natsupoi and Sori Ano, her and Bozilla versus Julia and Utami Hayashishita, her and Natsupoi versus Azumi and Takumi Iroha, her and Mayu Iwatani versus Hashimoto and Veni. I mean, fuck. Now, after all that, you look over to her singles stuff and you have Chihiro Hashimoto, Mayu Iwatani, Julia, her entire Marigold Dreamstar run, Bozilla for the belt, Nanai Takahashi. I mean, again, fuck. That is the most matches I'll read out for anyone on these Wrestler of the Year lists, by far. And I'm mainly doing it just to put into perspective just how good her year has been, just how many big matches she's delivered. And honestly, I still feel like I'm leaving so many matches off because there's just so much greatness there. Then finally, what I said about Mayu being the backbone of stardom can be said about Sareee times 20 when it comes to her and Marigold. Putting the matches aside for a second, I simply don't want to see what those houses would look like without her. It's why even as a non-contracted talent, she became their first ever champion. That right there speaks to how important Sareee is in the eyes of Joshi fans, in a way that nobody else in the scene right now is. That is truly special stuff. This year has been truly historic for her. And it's why undoubtedly the unanimous 2024 Women's Wrestler of the Year is Sareee. With that, that's going to do it for the video, everybody. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like down below. While you're down there, make sure to leave a comment as well with your thoughts on my list or even your own. Then, of course, subscribe to the channel too, where we're always talking graps. The last end of year list video will be coming out this Saturday with the top 5 men's wrestlers of 2024, so tune in for that. But until then, thank you all so much for watching. It's been Novi. Much love to each and every one of you. Peace.